temperature fluctuation, but you will also get small issues like external parasite bloom or something. Fish usually always have, even like us, parasites just in there, but they're opportunistic and waiting for that right moment stress that comes with a fluctuating. When you get stressed, a lot of issues come out. So something you want to consider. Another bad thing by putting a tank close to a window is you get algae blooms. So you're constantly fighting with green water, and it looks it doesn't look nice. You don't want that in your tank, and you actually want to be enjoying what you're doing and not getting stressed from all the algae issues. Especially green water. Who wants green water in their tank, right? So that's that on picking the right size.
Tank.
Let's see.
Was that the right size tank?
Excuse me?
Was the right size tank?
Yeah, the right size tank.
So, I mean, my take into this, guys, is you guys can go as big, as small as you want. The smaller you guys get to, the more sensitive water parameters to shift. Hardness, GH, KH, pH, all those things. Even oxygen levels and CO2 levels. So smaller tank you guys go to, less surface area, make contact with that atmosphere, less gas exchange going on, right guys? So, but the bigger you go, the more stable it is. A lot longer it takes for equilibrium rates to match, and eventually you can catch a problem that happens way before it starts happening in a big tank, because it'll slowly progress over time. You start seeing an algae or some kind of microorganism slowly accumulating over time. But the downside about a big tank is just the sheer volume or the sheer amount of maintenance you have to do. That's literally the only trade-off. So, I mean, me personally, I like Pico tanks because I like having it on my desk, but then I really have to keep aware to maintain water parameters, make sure they don't shift too much. Every day, like I know it's like maybe like a centimeter or two of water, especially like these days. Now it's getting especially warm, that I lose that much water every day. So you just got to be really aware. Every time you add more water, you're going to increase the hardness because there's already some KH and GH in your water. So you guys really want to top it off, say, with distilled or RO water. See what I mean? But then if you let the tank evaporate too much and then suddenly fill up, say you evaporate it halfway down, you fill up the tank with half RO water, that's going to decrease the hardness by half, which would be even more harmful than if you were to just use regular tap water. So keep that, guys, keep that in mind. Like whenever you see that water evaporate, you want to top it off. If it's not too much, then I would say top it off with RO or distilled water. So fairly shift the parameters over to the long run. But if there's too much evaporation, then I would say mix it with some distilled and some regular filtered tap water. And then when it comes to long tanks or tall tanks, when it comes to a long tank, you got a lot more surface area, a lot more gas exchange. But the thing is, you want to be able to optimize the flow in that length, utilize that length. Oftentimes, people put a filter in one end or in the middle and barely just gets into the middle, but the sides are dead. Now, if you guys get those sides into dead zones, you guys are really going to ask for algae. So you really want to think about how can I align my filter and my pumps in a way where I eliminate as many dead spots in my tank. In a tall tank, you got to be worried about mixing the upper and level levels of water, because in the top level is where you're going to get the gas exchange. It's going to become oxygenated, but you need to pump that down, circulate down for bottom-dwelling fish and other organisms. It's going to really help out in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's very important. Another thing that will help you choose what kind of aquascape. This is about styles now. There's a lot of styles out there, and for say, jungle, Iwagumi, Biotope, Nature, and Dutch. So basically, that will let you know. That will help you decide what kind of aquascape you're gonna do by. Like I said at the beginning, first of all, knowing your goals. If you're willing to spend a lot of time on that tank, or you just want something, basically drop and go. Something easier, just to enjoy. Yeah. So jungle style would be mostly any selection of plants. It doesn't really matter if they're big or small plants. You plant, you decorate with some wood and rock, and you let it grow and. Pretty much forget about it for a long time until you do a little bit of trimming, maybe every 2 or 3 months, depending on how fast it's good choice for starting. Another style would be Iwagumi. It's more of a do that, and basically you want to get that in odd numbers. You don't want to do 2, 4, 6. You want to make it a little bit more artistic, and it looks pretty nice. I consider that more like medium to high growth. It depends on the kind of carpet that you choose. You will do a lot of trimming. That's why it can sometimes be high maintenance. So that's that for Iwagumi. Very nice, clean look. Biotope style. Biotope style. I would consider that more for a hobbyist, somebody trying to not just have but achieve certain goals with certain type of fish. Basically, you try to replicate their natural environment by providing exact water parameters. The types of plants that you choose will be the ones that you usually see in nature with that type of fish. And even gravel color. So a lot of research on that guy. And as maintenance for that one, it's very, very low. Very low maintenance once the system is established. And a system like that can be established anything around 2 months. Basically trying to get those right water parameters. At first it can be a little hard, you know, trying to achieve the perfect exact water parameters that you'll find with that fish in nature. So yeah, something more for like a hobbyist. Another one, nature. One of my favorites, nature style aquarium is one of my favorites because you get a little bit more artistic on that one. You try to focus a lot on sense of depth. So basically, you know, when you guys see a picture, a nice scenery, you guys tend to see everything is bigger in the closer sections. That's obvious, right? And the more further you go, the smaller things are because they're far. So you try to replicate that scene in an aquarium, and you basically follow the same principles. Try to follow the same principles on doing that aquascape just to get a really nice sense of depth. So plant selection is very vital in this kind of aquascape, and I would consider that medium to high maintenance. Again, it all depends on the plant selection. So if your plants are growing super fast, you are going to be doing a lot of trimming and maintenance on them. And that's usually the kind of aquascape that we all see a lot in competitions and everything on Google. So Google pictures, mostly looking at nature aquarium. The other one would be Dutch. Dutch style is the more like aquatic gardening. So really hard to keep plants. Usually a lot of reds, yellows, all the colors, whites. You see whites in there, so that's pretty cool. Even purples. So you focus a lot on color, contrasting patterns, and usually that system runs highlights to enhance coloration. Some plants just need that highlight. Of course, you're gonna be doing a CO2 system, carbon dioxide. It's pressurized carbon dioxide. CO2 is the #1 nutrient required by plants, and actually a lot of maybe all of the living organisms in this planet, especially plants. That's their #1 nutrient required to grow. So when you're doing highlight, like in a Dutch style, plants will try to grow faster. That means you get them hungry for those nutrients. And since CO2, carbon dioxide, is the #1 nutrient required by plants, of course, it pushes you to do a pressurized system, and that could run anywhere. This is just my experience. Anything from I'm talking about new, you know, a tank, a regulator, the CO2 line, a CO2 diffuser, anything from around 180 and up. It all depends if the brands that you choose and where you get your stuff from, you know. So that's for a Dutch style, and again, that's a pattern, texture, color, contrast, a garden in an aquatic environment. So that's really nice, and that's we see that a lot too on Google Pictures, and it's those beautiful, fully colored aquascapes. I will consider that, from my experience, definitely high maintenance on those tanks. You're usually trimming a lot, and you know, you have your hands in that tank a long time. So definitely something you want for hobbyists, not for maybe you know, for to make it for your children or for your friends. You don't want something like that, since you're gonna be putting a lot of time on that. Definitely for a hobbyist. All right. I think that's it of me talking too much. I hope you guys aren't getting bored right now. Yeah, so let's get started with the fun part. This is what I'm good with, and I'm gonna show you guys how to get started aquascaping. This is my favorite part right here, actually. Been waiting for this the whole week. I'm gonna be doing, be focusing on a low tech. Low tech, basically low energy, you know, low light, easy to maintain, and what else? Lower cost, usually. Low energy meaning, you know, your plants aren't gonna be growing as fast. That means your hand is not gonna be in the tank 24/7. Only, you know, here and there when you see needs some trimming, maybe taking care of some stuff that's bothering me. It's poking me here. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. So sorry, plant. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna be focusing on, and the style that I want to do, it's gonna be a nature aquarium. And that's actually, again, one of my favorites because you get to put a lot of hardscape and have fun trying to replicate scenery. I also call it scale design, because you're basically scaling down, you know, something that you see in nature, you know. I'm going to be trying to do something like a creepy forest. That's why I chose this driftwood. You can use it for a lot of reasons, but that's the feeling I get when I see something like this that looks like a tree in a way. You know, branches that are usually curled, and you know, like that one that we see in the scary movies when they're running down the forest at dark. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be working on. And yeah, I got a lot of wood here. Again, this is spider wood. I like this wood a lot, not only because of all that texture you get. These are really nice pieces. So it looks very artistic and also very natural. A very good thing I can say about that driftwood is, unlike for say Mopani, which is, let me go run down there and show you guys. We can actually have a piece. Woods like this, right? These guys, they're pretty thick. I would say, unless you're doing a huge tank, not very suitable for trying to use it on a nano and try to do something like a nature aquarium. You want to get things that are pretty thin, and you can put a lot of it in there. Another bad thing about wood like this guys and Malaysian driftwood, that's actually why I like this guy, because you don't get a lot of tannins, you don't get a lot of that tea color going on in your tank, and that's something that bothers us a lot as planted tank enthusiasts, that you set up a fresh tank, it's looking awesome, next day you wake up in the morning and your tank is full. It looks like you dropped some tea in there or some Coca-Cola or Pepsi, right? It's brown. And we usually struggle removing that, and you got to do a lot of water changes and use a lot of carbon if that really bothers you. It's not harmful for fish. Actually, some fish like that environment. That would be actually perfect for a biotope. Biotope, you get that nice tint that you're looking for. That's what usually what you see in nature. Not every water. Not every place that you visit is going to be crystal clear water. It's usually a little bit brown, you know, and fish like that, so they feel safer. Same with Malaysian wood. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Malaysian wood. It's pretty similar, a little bit more texture in this. It's not a light tan color. It's usually really red. It's really cool wood, don't get me wrong, but that's the only negative thing I can say. So redwood equals a lot of tint in your water. Yeah, so try to avoid that. And this guy, low tint, so you barely get any, you know. So that's pretty neat about this wood. Not only the way it looks. Yeah, so we're gonna be using that as our main hardscape. And driftwood rock, basically fossilized wood. These things here might be over 100 years old, maybe. They're fossilized, you know, and that takes a long process for a piece of wood to get those right conditions underwater and get hard like this, basically made into a fossil. That's pretty neat about this. And I just decided to use this instead of all the other types we have in there, because they're small pieces and they're a little dark, and that's what I'm looking for this creepy aquascape. Yeah, so we're gonna be using this, guys. Oh, very important when choosing rocks, especially for nature aquascape. That's what we're gonna be working on. You don't want to just go ahead and grab big pieces and, you know, all even. Different sizes, even small like this, will make a big difference in your aquascape. Again, we're trying to give it a sense of scale, you know, so make it look like everything's big. And usually rocks, you can see them, but usually in nature rocks are not as big as trees. You know, they're usually around this size. And again, you can, depending on where you go in the world, you might see a huge mountain with a humongous rock bigger than a tree, but not the usual, you know. So try to keep the rock smaller for this design. And again, different sizes gives you more variety, more selection for you, and it'll make it look more natural. I'm gonna try to make a nice path for this aquascape. I like doing that a lot, and a lot of people do. So I'm gonna be using this guy right here. It's from Do Aqua. It's called Tropical River Sand. It's pretty light in color. It's natural. Natural is always good. Especially for planted tanks, I try not to do colored gravel. There's benefits actually by not using colored gravel and using stuff like natural, basically not painted. You know, so natural substrates, natural gravels, rocks that are not painted have high porosity, meaning later on bacteria will colonize in there. And bacteria is very important in any system, and we usually do not worry about it a lot in a planted aquarium because we have a lot of it. So what beneficial bacteria does, it maintains a stable environment in your aquarium. So basically, when you do water changes and stuff like that, if you have a lot of that, your toxin levels, basically the poop that the fish produce, will not build up and create a lot of organic waste, which will turn into toxins. So basically, nutrients, you can say they are toxins. So there is benefits of having live plants in your aquarium. As we all know, if they are growing healthy, they will consume the nutrients, the toxins. Nutrients equals toxins, or the other way around. So yeah, you can see here a little bit of the nitrogen cycle. A lot of people might know this already. You gotta cycle your tank. Basically, when we start a new tank, there is no bacteria living in there, no beneficial bacteria. So there's basically, that means that there's nothing to degrade or turn that poop or toxins into a safe matter for the tank. You know, when fish poop, you feed, and all that is left will turn into toxins. Toxins equals nutrients. Plants absorb nutrients. In exchange, they give you oxygen and healthier environment. They're like water purifiers in a way, you know. So yeah, I have this here. We always have this information. You know, you can find it on Google, super easy. Nitrogen cycle.
That's the one to sit down.
Or we have it in around the store. Very important for starting a new tank. All right. Yeah. So that's why I like to use natural gravel, and that's what I'm gonna use. This guy right here is basically this guy, but rinsed. That's what I'm gonna be using to make the trail. And I'm gonna add this other one is also you know, same ingredients, silica as this guy, but it's sand. Just to give it again more depth. There's always different sizes. When you're doing a trail, a good tip would be use a different size of for the trail. Don't just go for one size pebble, as that does not really look natural in nature. We see small rocks, big rocks, and you know, all sizes. So we try to do that again. That's why I'm gonna use this, and almost the same color as this guy over here. For the base layer, we're gonna do. I'm gonna start doing this actually. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna get started. We're gonna do power sand. Power sand is volcanic-based gravel, really high porosity, making it suitable for bacteria growth. It's basically a home for your bacteria, you know? Let's see. It's a home for your bacteria. You know, a lot of pores creates a lot of surface. Bacteria will colonize on those surface. If you have a lot of porosity in your tank, that will create a larger and healthier bacteria colony, something we want. You know, this power sand is called Power Sand Special. It's from 88. It's one of the most well-known brands out there, and it's very good quality. Surface area is humongous compared to other base layers that we use. Sometimes you use lava rubble and stuff like that. This is volcanic again, but it's in a different way. It's sorry. I forgot how the name. It has a specific name for this type of lava base layer. So yeah, Power Sand Special as our first layer. This guy will help hold your substrates, and unlike fine substrates, you guys see this guy. You can't really compact this. This is uncompatible. I'm not saying that right. Sorry. Basically, you don't want compaction in your substrate. This helps avoid that issue, and that is a problem, because if you get compaction in the substrate, you create basically you're not given the right environment for your roots. They start rotting, your plants won't grow, and you'll notice that you don't have the right setup on the bottom, because your plants usually die off, and when you pull out the dead, starting to disintegrate roots, they're usually black, and black roots is a sign of not hospitable, not the right environment for your roots. So you want to make sure you want to use something like this for your base layer. This also has bacteria in there already, and all these black particles, they're actually natural organic soil, and well, that's nutrient. Good for the long-term health of your aquarium. I'm gonna go a little high on this one. Somebody's gonna be lucky here today, because they're gonna get a nice tank. All right. Not very important to keep everything together here, but you know, want to make it look clean. Yeah. This tool is used, you know, to move gravel around. Sometimes you have hard to reach areas where you're not really gonna put your hand in there and you know, swift the gravel. So you use this guy to go around all that and make it look nice and the way you want. So very important. Two small size, small for the little details there, and the bigger one for the open areas usually, you know. All right. Second thing, ADA Nature Aquarium Bacter 100. Over 100 types of beneficial bacteria in a powder. They are dormant, meaning they're just waiting for you to give them that right condition once it touches, you know, dechlorinated water. For it to start reproducing. Why are we adding this? Well, it's to boost your aquarium and to create, you know, a healthier environment for all the water, the fish, the plants, and your substrate system. So very important. I would always use this, and if you guys check out our videos, you will see that we always use this bacteria. There's a lot of types of bacteria. This is one of the best ones out there. It's also from ADA. So, and it goes a long way, you know. You can probably use this guy for a few tanks for sure, especially if you're doing nano, you'll use it for a lot of tanks. I like to put this guy on top of this, my base layer, which is a Power Sand Special, because later on when, you know, you put water in here, you can also put it on the bottom, but it's like doing it this way because you start, you know, it's all set up and ready to go. You're gonna put water in there. When you put water, well, automatically everything starts settling down, so you'll get a nice effect all over your base layer. So yeah, you don't really have to do a lot of that. I'm gonna do it for, you know, whoever gets this tank. This is gonna be a nice tank. Yeah, that's a lot. And there is a lot of it in this bottle. It goes a long way. Yeah, it'll last you a long time. You know. Again, beneficial bacteria is very important. It turns organic waste into nutrients for the plants. So that's what I'm gonna do right there. And like I showed you earlier on nitrogen cycle. Let me tell you a little bit about nitrogen cycle. From all the tanks that I've done and tested water parameters from, if you do not add anything, I'm talking about just, you know, set up your tank, make it look nice, add water, you know, and let it run. Do not add anything. It usually takes a whole month and 1 more week, so that's 5 weeks total to complete the nitrogen cycle. Meaning, this is usually what happens when you start a new tank. You put your water in there and you start watching it. Everything looks perfect. You take tests, you make a test. You know, you test your parameters. Everything's gonna be 0. That's fine, right? That does not mean you can put fish in there, because if you wait a few days, you'll notice those parameters. I'm talking about ammonia, the #1 toxin fish killer, starts by burning the gills of the fish. So ammonia, nitrite is the second most toxic toxin in the water. So basically, you don't want none of that in your tank. You don't want to kill your fish. You guys might know that already. So it takes a whole month and 1 week, 5 weeks total if you do not add anything. All right, I've tested it a lot of tanks already, and that's almost the same pattern you always get. And I'm talking about all the toxins spiking up and making it a poisonous environment for your fish, and then everything's going down already, basically hitting 0 on everything. A great environment for your fish, no toxins, nothing's gonna die, you know, unless the fish are sick. So if you add bacteria, that cycle, you cut it up a lot. You can, depending on how the way you set it up, 1 week and you might be good already to put fish in there. Yeah, there is some companies like Seacom Stability. It's a liquid bacteria, and they claim that you can put fish immediately in the tank first day if you promise to do the 7-day process that they say. I wouldn't do that, just to be on the safe side, but I would still wait at least 1 week. And 1 week is nothing to wait. It's worth it, and your fish will appreciate it as you will give them the right toxin-free environment. So that's what bacteria does. Any bacteria product that you use will speed up the process of your cycling. It will definitely do that. So you want to use a bacteria for sure. What else? Well, bacteria's there, and our base layer is there. I'm gonna use Autumn Nature's control soil. This is a small tank, so I want to go for cosmetic reasons. I want it to look good. I'm gonna go with extra fine. Plus, it's a small tank, so that's adequate. Again, we can always help you with that when you guys ever come here to purchase your stuff. Choosing the right substrate and for your aquascape, whatever tank you guys are doing, Hey, do you guys know what size tank this is? No, maybe like a 6 gallon, maybe like a 7, huh? Yeah, around there. Maybe like a 7-gallon tank. All right, so that's that for that. I like using this guy. There's a lot of options out there. This is one of the, it's not new. It's not a new substrate. It's actually been tested a lot. You can find a lot of positive reviews. Just look for Marfi control soil. So this is a well-known company in the hobby that's been doing substrate for a while now. What happened is that there's this company called Autumn Nature that you guys might know, UNS. It's becoming very popular. It's growing super fast. And they decided to collaborate with Control Soil, as they knew that Control Soil has a lot of potential. It's a quality substrate, a lot of nutrients in there. And they decided to collaborate and make, the new soil. Now it's called Autumn Nature Control Soil, so same great quality. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna use. This guy, I'm gonna compare it to the best known substrate out there. ADA's Amazonian soil, basically this brand right here. Some of you might know Takashi Amano. He is the pioneer, or one of the most important pioneers in the aquascaping hobby. He did this company called ADA, right? Aqua Design Amano. That's what ADA stands for. He and his team created the most nutrient-rich substrate out there. Everybody that uses has great results. So every company is always trying to compete with them and try to get the same results. Control Soil has been one of the brands that's always on their toes, always behind them. The positive thing about this, especially for a low tech that we're gonna be doing, even though it's nutrient rich, it does not produce a lot of ammonia like Amazonian ADA soil, the one I was talking about earlier. So that's a positive thing. Ammonia will trigger algae. Ammonia will kill your fish and all that. Why does the best soil in the world has produced a lot of ammonia? Well, that's their part of their secret to being successful, actually. As ammonia is one of the nutrients that plants consume. And in the beginning stages, it's okay, as that's basically food for the bacteria. So if there's a lot of food, there's a lot of growth and reproduction for any living organisms, and we want that in the beginning stages. We're gonna do a low tech, I prefer to use this as it does not produce a lot of ammonia. And even for high tech, don't get me wrong, okay? But this is what I want to use for a low tech tank like this guy. Make it easier, you know. I would say Amazonian soil, even though it's one of the most well-known substrates out there, is could be a little hard to use because of that ammonia spikes in the beginning stages. Not with this guy. This guy, you don't get a lot of that ammonia, and actually some people that have that breed shrimp are very delicate to toxins. They have used this substrate, and in like a week they already put in their delicate $100 expensive fish in it. So that talks really good about this, you know, and they're still able to grow nice plants. So what I'm doing here, it's basically sloping the substrate upwards. That will help us create more of what I was talking about, sense of depth. You get that by sloping up the substrate and a little bit because of the hardscape, the way you put it. So I'll show you guys later. I always I put the table a little bit more backwards because I like looking at, I work from the front. That's usually what you want to do, not really do it from here. It's a little harder and you're not really watching what you're doing, you know. And you're gonna be enjoying your tank from this angle, not from up here. So you usually look and design your tank from this angle right here. So yeah. How thick should I go? Well, that usually old school rule goes 1.5 inch, you know. Nowadays, that's when we used to do other types of substrates for our tanks. Now we're using, what should I call this, pelletized substrate. It's natural substrate, but it's made into granules in a spherical design, so that minimizes compaction. Again, compaction will make your plants rot and it kill your plants, and creates sulfur gas, which if you stir it up a little bit, you'll see a lot of bubbles coming up in an established tank with a lot of sulfur gas, and that can kill your fish, and you'll see them gasping. So if that ever happens to you guys, make sure you guys do a good water change, a 50 at least, and just to minimize those effects, you know. Yeah, so I'm gonna go a little high on this substrate. 2 inches, 3 inches of thickness is okay. Okay, so, yeah, well, you use the rocks to help it keep it in place. Now, one of the most important things is, for example, on these areas right here, it's pretty high, so you'll see a lot of that running down. You're gonna use rocks to try to keep it in place, okay? And the plants that you put in there later on, you know, they will root. And this is similar to what the city of San Diego, I'm gonna say, uses as a technique to prevent those lights. Instead, you know, we're on the freeway and you see a lot of usually low plants that root a lot. Well, that's a technique that they use to keep it from sloping. And we try to do the same thing here in a planted tank. The roots of the plants will eventually keep it in place later on. At the beginning, what we try to do, yes, the rocks and stuff like that. Yeah, there's more hacks, you know. For example, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with corrugated plastic sheet board. It's basically like cardboard. You know how it's sandwiched in a texture, but it's made out of plastic. That's fish safe. It's non-toxic, easy to use, easy to cut. You guys usually get that. I'm not gonna use it on this one, but you'll see that on YouTube videos a lot. It's called, again, corrugated plastic sheet board, and you cut small pieces, and just to prevent that, you put them right in that section right there. So basically, that's gonna stay fixed in there. The gravel's not gonna slide down, you know. So you put them like this. I'm not gonna do that for this. But that's a good question, and definitely you guys can do that. Where can you find that? Well, easy to find it. Home Depot, Lowe's, hardware stores. You go usually to the section where they have the plants. Sorry, the plants. Where they have the glass. They have the glass acrylic, and you'll find that in that section. Pretty cheap. A lot of colors. Black is preferable. You know, you don't want to see that. It doesn't look pretty. So yeah, try to hide it down. It does not really float and easy to anchor, easy to cut. So that's a tip there for keeping it from sloping down. Would have been a good idea to demonstrate here, right? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get started with, again, spider wood. I'm gonna try to use the biggest pieces in the front, again, to try to replicate that sense of scale. Bigger at the front, the further you go, the smaller things look. So a little hard in a small tank, but we'll try to do that. Oh, sorry guys. So like I said, I'm gonna try to do like a creepy forest kind of a path with a forest with creepy wood. So for me at least, this looks sort of like an old tree. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what? And for this piece, I am gonna start using the plants because I'm gonna tie up some moss in there. Usually those creepy forests have old moss covering those branches. So I'm gonna use that. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Sorry guys. There's a lot of techniques that you can apply. A lot of videos out there showing you how to put plants and branches. You know, so for example, I'm gonna do moss. It's popular to use string to wrap around. Basically keep their moss in place. I'm gonna make it super easy, and I'm gonna use flourish glue. Flourish glue has an ingredient that is definitely not toxic for fish. It's called cyanoacrylate. This guy, it's easy to use and very easy to find too. So, okay. All right. Since I'm gonna try to do like trees, I'm gonna go with Christmas moss. All moss is different. They call this Christmas moss. Let me see if I can show you. This is grown out of the water. So it might be a little different. I want to show you guys why they call this Christmas moss. It's pretty neat actually. It's not just the name, but it's actually, because it does look like a Christmas tree. Not sure if you guys can see it. It's like a little Christmas tree, like a pine. Yeah, so it grows like that. That's the leaf texture part. It grows to the sides, but it looks like a Christmas tree. Or it does to me at least. I'm gonna keep the moss more on the upper sections, not all the way down. Again, we're trying to do like a tree, and maybe even that will, at the end of the day, end up looking like leaves. because it grows big, you know, so you can either let it fill up, or if you keep it really short on this style, the creepy forest, it'll look like mossy, old, maybe dead trees. So that's pretty neat. It's very easy to use, you know, the glue. You do a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. This thing, when it dries out, it looks, turns white. And does not really look, it's not eye-appealing, it's not nice to look at. So you want to make sure you use a little bit. Again, a little bit goes a long way.
Good job, Trace. I believe in that you only like to don't ever take pills. You have to prescribe to you by your therapist. Oh yeah, I know how they mechanically work. This is your therapy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. There's a reason why Americans spend.
I prefer to use a string. I always do. This is just easier. You know, it's faster, and I'm not trying to keep you guys here for the whole day. So yeah, this might work. So there's a lot of types. For the common moss that will stick, not all moss, by the way, sticks. Not all moss sends attaching filaments, right? So I recommend fishing string really thin. Yeah, the thickest you ever want to go, it's 4 pound. Walmart, $1, right? Why you want to do that size or thinner? Because that size is thin enough so you won't really see it, since it's going to stay there forever, and it's not too thin to the point where it'll be snapping on you. So that's really makes it a little harder if it keeps snapping. So that's like the right size, you know. 2 pound. Yeah, so I'm just dabbing it a little bit. I'm gonna use all this section right here, all over the tree.
Period. Period. Unless maybe, I mean, sometimes I can think of people who always jam, but you can always go home from that. You know, yeah, exactly. You can go home from that, or it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah. All I'm coming to realize, everyone, feel like you're not realize. Forces people.
You know, also when you do a string, you get a more cleaner look as you tie it up, and it looks compact. That looks okay. I still think though that with string, it's a little bit more time consuming, but it's nicer. It looks cleaner. You know? I'm not gonna do all the branches, like all over. I'm just gonna do a certain spots. This will later, it all depends on the person that keeps this tank, whether you're going to keep it really trimmed out, or it's going to let it grow really big where everything starts attaching, and it'll give it that really tree look, like, you know. Very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of types of moss out there. Christmas is it's pretty popular because it grows really nice. That's gonna be it for this guy. And I want to do this guy. So for me, everything has a face. There's the back side, of course, and there's the front side. And you know, we all see things different. But you always try to get that face. Basically, that face for me, it would be the one that has the more character and the more texture, you know. So this would be the face for in my opinion, for this piece. Sorry again, guys. I'm kicking them around. All right. Big piece I would put right here. Yeah, I think that will work. This, I like this piece. Looks like a dead tree. Maybe it broke down, and that's all that was left, you know. So this is a nice looking piece. And I'm gonna try to do the road or path. I'll make it go like this. You guys are free to do however way you want. And I'm gonna make it go like a little check mark. I'm gonna add a little bit of more soil here. I think it'll look good actually. Yeah, that's gonna work. Yeah, this piece. So you know when you're looking at those creepy forests, it looks like everything wants to eat you up. You know, like all the branches are just like gonna fall on top of you. So I'm gonna try to give it that feel. You know, so basically this is a nice piece because it looks like it curved, and this one's perfect for me. Where should I put this guy? This is a medium piece for this aquascape, so I'll use it right here. Okay. You know what? Maybe a little bit of moss in here will look correct. That was a little bit too much. Just a little bit. For this piece, try to put some moss in here. Again, I'm doing a low tech, so plant selection is very important, and we can help you out with that info whenever you guys are buying plants. There is high light plants, medium light plants, and low light plants. Mostly any low light plant has the ability to grow in a high light environment, but you want to make sure you know your setup, what you're doing, what kind of light do you have, what kind of system are you running to have the best success for your plant selection. Again, very easy to use. If I had all the time in the world, I was in my house just chilling, you know, I would use string. For this, I'll do glue. Why not? We do sell a string called moss cotton. It's a lot of people like using cotton 100% as it's good for moss that attaches to surfaces. Why? Cotton is organic, and with time, I'm talking about maybe 3 months, it will disintegrate. Basically, you'll end up, your finished look will be pretty clean. You tie it up right now, you don't really care if it looks you know, with all that string in there, if it doesn't look as nice, it's okay, because later on it will naturally disintegrate, and you'll end up with that clean look. But that's another thing why I like to use really thin plastic fishing line, because it looks pretty clean too, you know. So yeah, moss cotton, and that moss cotton is from this brand, 88, 100% cotton, will disintegrate and around 3 months, and that's usually the time it takes for a slow growing plant to fully attach to, yeah, that looks pretty good. That's the time it takes for a plant to attach to a surface. A tip, good tip for putting moss would be go lean on it. You know, don't go thick. If you go too thick to try to get you know, the looks really fast, well, actually, it's not beneficial as it will start dying off because it's so thick. It doesn't really get to the appropriate light penetration and everything, so it will die off, and you'll end up with a ruined aquascape. You don't want that. So you want to make it lean in, by the way, so a small portion goes a long way so that it goes both ways, you know? It's good. I'm going to do it here for the little details to make it look nice. Yeah, there's a lot of types of moss. They all grow different. And again, we can show you, explain to you the differences. You know, I'm just going to touch another one, flame moss. Flame moss sounds pretty interesting. Well, I already told you guys why it's called Christmas moss, because it looks like a Christmas tree. The leaf, the way it grows. You guys think this look good? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So basically, flame moss. Well, it's called flame moss because it grows upwards and curvy. So basically, if it's curvy, you know, like a flame. Yeah. So you know what? One more right here, just to give it more detail. I'm doing a low tech. That doesn't mean though, I'm not gonna try to make my tank look really nice, you know? It's all in a hardscape, you guys. If you guys take your time and invest all that time and effort in the hardscape, you know, the wood, the rocks, it's plants just come in like cherry and whipped cream, you know, on top of the whipped cream. Makes everything look perfect. So yeah, invest time on the hardscape for sure. It's, you know, aquascapers say it's the backbone. So backbone holds everything. All right. So trying to get sense of depth here, right? So the more further I go, the thinner the branches are gonna be, and the more to the center, everything's gonna come in together. Just like when you see a scenery or a road, it looks like everything just becoming more narrower and narrower. Hard to replicate, but we're still trying here our best to do it, you know? Yeah, so thicker branches in the front and thinner branches on the back.
Good, Bryan. I like it.
I'm still trying to leave some space here for plants. You know, we're gonna do plants, not just wood. So, but yeah, I'll definitely love to focus on hardscape. This is everything, everything. Dutch aquascape, usually, you know, the one I talked about, one of the hardest ones. Well, the main attraction there is actually the plants. It's basically, that's what it is. It's gardening, gardening with plants, a lot of color, texture. That's what you focus on, not really the hardscape. But this is why I like nature aquarium, because nature style lets you, gives you that freedom, you know, to do a lot of this scenery kind of style of aquascape. So that's how it's looking so far. Piece. Trying to find that face, you know. Trying to see if maybe it can look like a dead big tree stump in there. Put it over here a little bit more. Not really sure of that. I like the way that looks. I'll just leave it like that. It's okay. Later on, you know, with the moss that I'm gonna put around here, it'll cover up those sections, and it'll sort of look like it's one piece, especially if I put a lot of plant in here on the top. So medium-sized piece, thickness, you know, compared to this guy's medium-sized, thicker, medium. So the more further you go, the thinner the peas become. Trying to get like branches coming out to this side, so maybe maybe this works. I'm not sure I'll hit this guy. This could look like an old dead tree. It's a nice texture. Yeah. So maybe this guy right here, since it's medium. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just do that. It's okay. We're not doing competition here. We're just having fun, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I'll add a little bit of moss to that. I'll just do it outside. It's easier. I want maybe some in this ugly spot here, a little bit in here. We don't want to give it too much life since it's supposed to be dead. All those little details, guys, that's gonna make the big difference later on.
He's so good, but his stuff looks very bad. Like in order and still gorgeous, absolutely stunning.
I'll still do a little bit on this one. That's perfect for me. Yeah, not too much greenery, you know? Give you that creepy look. A little bit more over here. Yeah, so you guys might have noticed that I added a lot of the power sand. This guy. Again, I want to touch this point again. It helps hold your aquascape together and less of that sloping down. Very important, and I can appreciate a lot. I can feel and even hear the power sand down there, and it's the right size. It's small for this aquascape, and it helps it anchor down and not all sloping down, you know. So that's perfect. Still wanted to use this guy. Maybe too much. I like going. Oh, sorry, apologize. Yeah, I like going thick on all the hardscape. Again, I'm gonna do a low tech. Doesn't necessarily mean you know, it's not gonna look nice. I still want to do it, make that look like those high tech aquarium, but with the easy plants. Yeah. A little bit of wood, moss in here. You guys have any questions? Not yet. Yeah, you guys, trying to do it a little bit fast, but take your time on it. You're making usually, you know, might be hobbyist, and you guys are looking to get a nice aquascape, something to enjoy. So, you know, take your time. Definitely get those details down and make it look really good. That's enough plants for that section. A little bit over here. Yeah, I prefer doing this outside, as it's harder, you know, to do it like that inside the tank, and it's a small tank too. So I would say this is a good size actually. It's not too small. Small would probably be a 3-gallon. Yeah. So how about this guy over here? Oh, too close to the water edge is okay. It might still grow. Again, I'll just do this outside. So much easier.
Do you ever glue like hardscapes together? Get a scenario where
Yeah, for sure. I recommend using, you know, if you go to the saltwater section, you usually find a putty there. Wow, I forgot to the name of it.
that glue you use for like a moss out with it.
This glue? Yeah, just you can use it for wood to stick wood. You can use it definitely for plants, as it doesn't hurt them. But not for like rocks. Yeah, unless you use like a lot and you give it time to dry out. That's when you can, and it's more for detail, small pieces. Yeah. Silicone, you know, I've used it before. Sometimes had success with it, but if the object you're trying to keep there is heavy, it doesn't work for like the long term. It starts to detach as the water starts sipping through the crevices and all that, and it's not really good for like long term health. So you guys might know. You guys know that it's like a putty that you mix together, and they use it for like plumbing and stuff like that.
Like an epoxy.
That one, epoxy. Thank you very much. Epoxy is safe as long as you gotta read, you know, the instructions. That's a good one for rocks. Usually want to grab a rock, rinse it really good, because all that dust and powder will not let it work properly, and then it'll fall down or whatever, right? Maybe even break your glass. So make sure you rinse it, and it works really good. That's what I use to keep the rocks in place if I ever need to. Yeah, and I use that on a big hardscape, big rocks. Again, little details make the big difference. So you guys take your time when you're doing the plants. And that will look a lot nicer.
Like 25 to 40.
So just like that.
This is around $40.
Again, I can feel and appreciate the base layer, how it holds everything together. That's good. One more maybe right here, or this crazy looking one to create more texture. It's really thin, so not sure how that looks. Maybe one. We'll use these for detail. Feel free to break stuff down. Not you don't have to use it just you know, you got it like this and you gotta use it like that. Actually, these small pieces will make a big difference. I'm not really taking all my time here. Like I said, usually I would stay there and look at my tank and, you know, make sure I like it, move stuff around. These little guys will definitely give you that sense of skill. Because like I said, look at my fingers, they're all white from the glue. Yeah, so definitely little details will make a big difference. Like this guy, I'm gonna make it look right now like I got some roots going on. This is maybe where crazy glue can come in handy. Make it look like it's a fake root or a tree right there. And just to hide the details so you won't see a lot of the connections I did, you know, you can put some moss in here and let it grow. Keep the other ones on the bottom short, that way it won't look like this is supposed to be maybe leaves and then leaves at the bottom. Well, that's not really natural, you know. So, a bit of moss in there. Just to cover up those spaces. Yeah, if you buy this glue, it comes in a package of 2, so you get plenty for good size tank. Let's see how that looks. Little skinny one down here. in the back. Hopefully, I don't know. There we go.
Who wants to take?
So it's looking so far. You know, again, thicker pieces on the front, slope up the substrate, and thinner pieces on the back, just like what you would regularly see in real life. We try to do that. Thank you. Water, very important to keep your plants moist. A lot of the things one of the really big things that always happens is not keeping your plants wet enough while aquascaping. And like I said, usually take my time doing this. They dry up or they get frostbite, right? They freeze too cold, and then they start dying in your tank, and they pollute your water, and there you go, you get algae. All right, so you want to avoid that, or how? By doing this. Keeping them moist. All right, so that's that for the moss and the hardscape. Sorry, I'm gonna do a little bit of rock too. I feel this setup needs it a lot, and I'm gonna do small rocks just to get that nice sense of depth. Sorry for the 5 minutes. Trying to imagine the little trail I'm going to do, so I'm going to make it go like this and then open up. So for the trail, you know what, first I'm going to do the rock work, and I'm going to start tracing the trail, then I'll do that. Feel free to move stuff around always feel free to do that. That's one of the best things you can do. It's wise to move stuff around, you know? So, big rock, the base of this rock looks like this section right here. I'm going to use it, angle in a little bit towards, I'm going to do it on around this corner. You know, usually you don't want to go like to, where you say big rock at the left, big rock at the right. Small, right? You want to, you know, mix it around and get that more natural feel like you would see in nature. I'm gonna do this. I'll need it for that side there. I like this section here. You know, like this will give it a more natural feeling. For example, you see this curve here? Usually in nature, if you see those plants, those trees that grow with between rocks, they usually somehow grow around it, and they hug the rock. See, like this, that looks really natural there, for example, and it will even look more natural if it curved down, of course. So that's part of the success of those big name aquascapers out there, or those award-winning international competitions. You see those nice aquascapes? They take in consideration all those little details like that right there. instead of just going like that, you know. Yeah, that will look a lot nicer, you know. So you try to sort of get that little detail going on. Middle rocks. Smaller rock over here on this side under this root. It looks like the root went over the rock. Very tiny one. Little details. You'll appreciate those once you're staring at your tank for 6 hours doing nothing, you know? Yeah, you'll appreciate all those little details, so make sure you do those. Okay, so we'll do the trail. Always try to rinse your substrates. Some are always cleaner than others. Some are very, very dirty, dusty, and you want to make sure you run them under tap water. Recommend you don't do it in the sink, as that will be very costly if you have to call a plumber to unclog your pipe work in there. Yeah, all right. Dig first. Let's start it right. It's not dry, so it's gonna make it a little harder. You know what? I should have went for a darker trail, because I was trying to make something creepy, and this just gives it more light. But it's okay. Again, we're not competing, we're just having fun here. Always the trail, you want to make it sort of like a triangle, you know, again, wider on the front, and as you go backwards, it starts getting skinny, just like a picture, like in nature. So. Little details. A good rule to use for making your tank look really nice would be rule of thirds. Not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it's really highly used in photograph and art. Basically, not everything is always centered or equal. It's a little bit to one side, making it look more better for, you know, we as humans always try to envision stuff always. If you see one thing at the left, automatically your brain tries to perceive there's going to be another one at the right. By doing that, you make it more interesting, and remove of that just the eyes, instead of just focusing to the center and ignoring everything else, because everything is the same way. By breaking that and following the rule of thirds, you can look for that on Google. You end up looking at the whole composition, not just the center, you know. The finer sand, I'm going to do that on the back. So I'm trying to use this from the middle all the way to the back. A little bit on the middle. It'll mix around a little bit later on. And you want to go a little bit thick on the back so you get more of that feeling that everything is smaller again, you know? Good thing it's not raining, huh? Yeah. Wouldn't be that fun, honestly. And this plant is meant to grow on a high light environment, but it's been proven out there that you can't grow it in a medium light environment or even a low light in a stable environment. So I'm going to use this. It's Alocaris, acicularis, mini. I'm going to use this as the foreground plant, the carpeting plants. It's really fine, so I can use it anywhere, and it's not going to make you know, those big leaves break down, make this look odd. So basically, you know, like a nice carpet and full carpet to use. This is, by the way, from Tropica. Very, very popular in the hobby. Those guys have been doing tissue culture for years. So they got a lot of experience and very easy to use. This Tropica is no gel in there. It's just a nutrient-rich liquid. Makes it super easy. I don't have to do any cleaning. Like you guys saw, just took out a little bit of the water and that's it. So what you want to do here on when you're in this process of planting, you want to use small bunches, small sections. Why? You get more coverage from this guy. This guy, I'm not gonna go in really detail, but you should be able to get just about a full half a square foot out of this little cup. If you separate it more, well, yeah, even a full square foot. So gonna start on the back. Really nice plant. Not hard to grow at all. We actually have this in some of the very low tech tanks. I'm talking about no CO2 in a low light. Pretty stable environment. The trick will be a rich, nutrient-rich substrate. You know, it gives it that environment to thrive. Yeah, this plant's not really sensitive on where you cut it from or stuff like that. Very easy to use. We sell this and a lot of other types of carpeting plants. This is just the one I decided to go with for this case. You know, I want the person that kits this, just in case they don't add any CO2 or a fancy light. I want them to have success, you know. So, like I said earlier, plant selection is key for good thriving aquascape. Some forceps are definitely adequate for this kind of planting, since they're really thin plants. It would be super hard to do this with your fingers. This is actually it's Aqua, and it's the fine tip version. That's pretty cool because you can easily do the thin carpeting plants, you know, or mostly any carpeting plant. For say Amazon swords and similar row set plants like those, you can do them with your hand. They're big, they're thick from the bottom, so not really easy to go with this, guys. I'm gonna do this everywhere. Trying to do this fast for you guys. I know I'm taking a long time, but I'm really trying to go fast. You know, this is a hobby for me, so it's fun. The longer I take, the more time I enjoy it. So I take my time, usually. You guys have any questions? Not really?
Spread much?
Oh yeah, this guy, well, in a low-tech environment, let's say for it to get nice and compact, I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit, maybe like 3 months, and you know, you wouldn't do much, just do this, plant it. In a low-tech environment, medium-tech environment, we'll probably be carpeted in 3 months. And I'm exaggerating, that's a little bit too long, actually. Yes. This guy, you know, it's already a good size to put a small canister filter. But I would do a small hang in the bag. They're pretty much inexpensive. They're easy to find, and they do a good job. Easy to clean. Yeah, if you want to go a little bit more fancier, I will do a canister. I like doing canisters, anything 10 gallon up, I'm already putting a canister in there. Again, canisters are very beneficial. They hold a lot more ceramic rings. Ceramic rings are the homes of your bacteria. So you'll create, in a planted tank already, you would already have a lot of bacteria growing. But still, why not? You can never have too much bacteria. The more, the better. Go bigger bunches, just to hurry up. Yeah, the longer you take or the more patience you have to separate everything, the more coverage you get, for sure. The tank, we're gonna raffle it out. Someone's gonna take this home and enjoy it. Not really. Yeah, I'm fully stocked.
How many do you have?
Well, I have like 30 tanks, but running planted. You know, I actually just moved. So I moved. So I shot off all my tanks. So not a lot right now, but I like 30. I still have them too. To keep up.
Or, well, no, for like, for example, like right now, it's 25 gallons.
All right.
I had it for like a year or so, and then I decided
You're busy right now.
I would, yeah, I would definitely try to save as much of the things that I could save. But you know, if you're going to another country maybe or another state, yeah, big tanks. that is could get rough. Definitely imagine that's actually what I went through. You know, it's a lot of work to set them up and all that. Well, that's easy, but to move with all those tricks, you definitely gotta need a buddy. I mean, we're not usually moving every month, so that's okay. Try to be stable wherever I go, you know. It's hard, definitely.
His arms are behind his back, his legs are open. That's why he's so fast and all that.
Again, oh, sorry. Yo, just like I was saying, the smaller, the further you go, the smaller, the further you look, the smaller the things look. So that's another reason why I chose this plant, because this plant has really thin leaves, and that helps out a lot with that sense of scale, especially towards the back section. You know, if you do want to put some big leaf plants, you usually put them in the front. They could be around there. You know, usually if everything looks big in front of you, the further you go, it looks smaller. So you follow that concept.
Like a data analyst or...
This plant is medium tech. It's called Didipolis Deandra. A lot of people say it's a high-tech plant, meaning in its highlight CO2. But it's really easy to grow in a medium tech environment. No CO2 required. I've used it many times. It's similar in leaf shape. It looks like this right now. It's been grown in an immersed stage, meaning out of the water. We put it in our tanks and they start transforming, you know, from one type of leaf to another. So this plant will actually be like the one over there on the back, that needle leaf, right up. Yeah, the other one on the right. Yeah, that guy right there. That's this guy. So very different. Looks very different. Not hard to grow on. Not really picky. Of course, any plants, if you give them that perfect environment, you know, there's additional CO2 and all that, any plant will grow a lot nicer. No doubt about that. This plant I like a lot too because you can keep it low. So this is a small tank, so you know you want to keep your plants not too high. Towards the back, again I chose this again because it gets that needle shape and it's very thin, so it looks right. You know, an aquascape like this where you really do care a lot about a sense of scale. I'm going to start using the tops. They are always the healthiest section in a plant. I like to go one by one. It gives the plant space. It grows really good. And you get more coverage, which is very important. Almost done again. And a little bit more for the front sections. This is called forgot the name. Runcus repens, I think. Runcus repens. Grassy kind of shape of plant. Also, just trying to remove those dead leaves. Less issues. You know. This guy I'm gonna use on middle, maybe front section. It's pushy. Yeah, if you take your time and clean up your plants, usually you avoid algae issues. You know, again, this dead leaves will disintegrate in your tank and polluting the water. So I want to make sure you clean your plants around. Because green is good. Almost done, guys.
He always goes for the flip shop.
I heard that one.
She never even like go to New York to see my shirts. She always say your mom goes take off. Your mom goes that all the time. But that's not right.
Okay, so for that, that's a good question. You know, you can use a blade. I'll show you guys right now.
So usually care for algae would be to use the razor blade, but you got fat fingers like me, this would be the best type of thing. This is very slim profile, low profile, so you can get between the edges. So just use this.
Alright. That's good. So this is how the tank looks right now. Of course, later on, everything is gonna start growing. You know, carpet's gonna fill in. moss is gonna get bigger, and it's up to you how thick you wanna keep the moss. You can always trim it to give it that rustic look, or let it grow out, and it'll start looking more like a live tree, you know, as they all replicate the leaves in nature. The plant that I put here, the Dipolis Deandra, you will leave those a little bit higher, and I always want to go more higher to the corners, just to, again, to create more sense of depth. So that's a nice plant. And Junkins Repens, that's the name. Junkins Repens for this guy. I would keep it pretty short and just make it look like those natural, you know, bushes that look like this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, some things you can expect, you know, when you're done setting up your tank. There's in the first stages you get a lot of types of algae. You know, you can. We try to minimize those, again, like I said, removing dead leaves and stuff like that. It's normal. Usually a tank takes around 3 months, and you can call it a mature system. A mature system meaning that it's stable. Nothing's fluctuating. Fluctuations again, kill fish, stress everything out, and can cause algae. Like that new tank we set up, it's a 16-gallon cube, again with a scape that has like mountains, a scale design. That guy's going through the first initial stages that you presence in a planted tank. And because everything's natural, you know, everything, even the branches here will start going through a decomposition process, and they release acids in the water and organics that will cause algae. Nothing that you should be worried about, you know, keep your tank clean, you do your water changes and stuff like that. All those are normal in nature. It's a whole process, and as your tank matures, everything will start going away. Some tanks are done by a month and a half. They usually are free of algae, and some take a little longer. Every system is different. It doesn't really matter if you and I are using the same light, same substrate and everything. Everything reacts different, you know. And yeah, so all you would do now is pretty much do water changes. These are pretty low-tech system, meaning, you know, you're not really going to run it with CO2 and high light. So, you know, a weekly 50% water changes, which is not a lot, you know, like 3 gallons or so. It's plenty for a low-tech system for something like this size right here. If it would have been a high-tech system, you want to do more water changes. Everything's going faster, everything's fluctuating a lot more. So yeah, that's why we made it low tech, just for whoever gets it. Maybe they're not looking forward to having something too complicated, and try to make it super easy. Other than that, you know, well, we added the bacteria and everything. So this system, you can start adding your livestock. Nothing sensitive, maybe some algae eaters or stuff like that. After maybe like a week and a half, you should be good. You can always be on the safe side and test your water parameter. You know, usually pet shops test your water for free, especially if you're having some issues. It's always a good thing, you know. You know, first week comes in, you know, just get your water. Don't put anything in there. Just take it and get it tested, and they'll tell you, you know what, wait, or just you're ready. Yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. And I hope you guys enjoy the Aquascape, and good luck to whoever gets it. It's considered a low tech. You guys can do it high tech if you want. You would add a small CO2 system to this guy and a higher light. I would honestly keep it low tech just because I did a lot of the moss, and this is a slow growing plant. Slow growing plants usually can catch algae as they are growing slow, you know. Yeah. Everything should fill up. This tank should look pretty good, like in 2.5 months. I'm talking about plants already grown out and everything filled in. Yeah, a tip, whenever you are whenever you're going to fill it up with water, I'm not going to do that because it's going to be a hassle to, you know, take out the water again for whoever takes it. you want to get a plastic bag, we'll be happy to give you one. And you want to cut it like this. This is too big, so just calculate. This little trick right here, inexpensive. You want to pour the water very slowly, but even pouring the water slowly in here can stir up everything. So by doing this, you basically, the water will go in a lot smoother, even if you pour it like that. So that's not gonna happen, nothing, it's okay. So instead of everything getting all destroyed, all that work, all that effort to keep everything nice. And so that's a good tip for how do I put the water in the tank. I will not do it. And I don't think I missed anything. You guys have any questions?
Did I win?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Anybody? Okay, so plants prefer the cooler temperatures. Actually, going too warm can actually stunt plants. Good temperature range, I can tell you, would be 79. That's okay. Anything hotter than that, and some species will start getting stunt. And stunt, gives a chance or that space for the algae to come in. You don't want stunt plants. You want your plants to be growing healthy and fast. So definitely, depending on your fish selection, you might be able to go out without a heater. We actually, all those nanos, they are going without a heater. But it gets a little warm. All homes are different. My house gets really cold, so I need heaters, So if I'm really desiring not to use a heater, I would select the fish adequate for the setup. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. We decided to use fertilizer. Like, when we start that.
Okay. This is a low-tech setup. So it gives you, again, I said a lot of break, a lot of chance. So this is a nutrient-rich substrate for a low-tech setup. You can start out dosing a week and a half, 2 weeks after, and you should be okay. You definitely want to do that in a high-tech environment. Everything's growing a lot faster. Nutrients are going to get depleted, especially CO2, so you want to start doing that definitely 1 week after, especially if you're doing all those water changes to keep a stable environment. In a high-tech, you want to do, after 1 week. Yeah, at first everything, again, is going to leach out, and it's going to make the environment nutrient-rich. A lot of toxins in there. So yeah, 1 week and a half. Low-tech setup again, nutrient-rich substrate. We do sell all-in-one, very easy to use, a no-brainer, full instructions in there, easy to use. I think it's a 1 pump per 10 gallons. So for this guy, I'll do like 3/4 of a pump once a week. It's once a week, so it's a low-tech environment, Boom, just to keep everything in check. And again, I can't say it enough. We're using a nutrient-rich substrate. Some low-techs don't even need nutrient addition to the plant. You will observe, there I did print out this small sheet to diagnose. You can find this on Google. That's where I found it. Nutrient deficiencies. You guys ever notice something looking odd in your tank, in your plants? You want to look for this. Basically, every nutrient deficiency will reveal itself in a different way. So, maybe you start getting little holes in the leaves, potassium deficiency, some yellowing, maybe iron deficiency. So this is very good to look it up. I just put nutrient deficiencies in a planted aquarium and you're golden. It has everything in here numbered out. There's a lot of them, very easy to use. So usually in a low-tech, you do not run through all those issues. Do expect to get melt at the beginning stages. Totally normal. Plants are growing out of the water. You put them underwater, they start to do a transition. Old leaves terrestrial leaves grown in water start melting, they go brown, they disintegrate, and the new growth start appearing as fresh, new, bright green leaves. So definitely do not stress about that. If you want to take it a step further, you can remove all the little leaves floating and all that. So that will help. Again, a low-tech environment will give you a break. But yeah, if you see some dying leaves, don't really stress about it. Just take them out and that's it. As long as you always see new growth. New growth is bright. It's the brightest in the plant on top usually. Some plants even on the bottom. So totally normal. Totally normal. You can expect that. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I think we're done then. We're gonna wrestle the thing. Thank you. Let me find out what's the other step. Mr. Helen. Yeah, we're gonna raffle the tank.
Bryan, can you explain CO2?
CO2? Okay. CO2. CO2 usually available already in a tank. You know, soils do produce a little bit of that, and fish waste and all that. Low-tech environment, meaning you do not have to add any additional CO2 to the system because all the CO2 being produced organically, naturally in the environment is usually enough to sustain a low-tech system. In a high-tech system, again, everything's growing super fast and crazy, so they're always hungry and depleting all those nutrients, CO2 being the first one of them. And you have to do a pressurized system, you know, with the diffuser, the line. We can always show you, we have a lot of tanks running with CO2. We can further explain that, how to set it up. And yeah, so this guy, you don't really need it. It's a low tech. And fish waste, decaying some plants. Naturally, the decomposition process through the substrate, that's enough, yeah. What was the question? I wouldn't take all the fish out? Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, you'll naturally get organic waste. Yeah, and just to prevent algae, you do want to take all that out. We're talking about dead leaves and all that. Usually poop and fish waste is the one that will turn into nutrients, you know, phosphates, nitrogen, potassium, being the macros and micros, iron, boron, and all those other manganese. All that's usually available for a low-tech. Plants aren't really consuming that much. Yeah, so nothing will get hurt if you remove it. You'll actually be benefiting the tank by removing dead leaves and all that. Yeah, if you do a high-tech system, definitely do a pressurized system. So, yeah. I think they're gonna do a raffle right now. Did I take too long? Oh, good tip. The more plants you put at the beginning, the better. You minimize algae, you minimize all those swings and nutrients. So you definitely want to put as many plants as you can at the beginning, especially if you're talking about a high-tech system, you know? So you want to keep everything balanced. Definitely want to put a lot of plants in the beginning stages, as much as you can. Huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, the mat. This blue thing down here is like a sponge. This mat is very important for rimless tanks. Rimless tanks tend to get stress points. So very important where you put it. Not just make sure it's not right aside of the window because of the algae, the sunlight, the UV rays in the sunlight will create algae. Not just because of the temperature, but gotta make sure it's a flat surface. You know. Usually a good rule would be use that that leveler. That they use is like a big ruler, yeah, that has a little liquid inside with a line like this, and yeah. Oh, actually a line going across, and you get that nice flat surface. If you need to put some shims on the bottom, make it. It's worth it. You don't want to create pressure points, and then your tank leaks when you're not there. Always when you're not there only. Or in the mornings, yeah. I don't know why it happens like that, but yeah, if you're watching a tank, it's never gonna leak. So.
Second row, be bluebell buckwice, could feed this literally any fish. Shrimp will take it. This guy is going to go to last 4 digits, 5171. 5171.
Oh, yeah.
Next prize, Salvinia natans, fantastic floating plant, very hard to kill, very bulletproof. That guy's going to go to 5148. Second portion of Salvinia is going to go to 5130.
Oh.
5130.
I think I gave him these. Thank you. Look.
Last portion of Salvinia is going to go to 5160.
Did you win something? Yeah, I won the Salvinia I gave you guys.
Can I, oh, wow, really?
Right? Did I get to see you?
Oh, that's right, you did.
Yeah, that's fine. Here, take a picture of him. Hey,
Last guy's going to go to 5150. 5150.
What did you say?
5150.
Hey, wait.
had them like this guy. Like this guy? Here. 5-1. You're gonna assume it's. Oh man. What do you say, guys? Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Here you are.
Thank you.
Alright. Next one, hypercell lymphoma. That guy's gonna go too. 5177.
5177, that's me.
And last guy, Cryptocorin tropica. No, brown. Low tech plant, very bulletproof. Now that guy's gonna go too.
Thank you, Pat.
5128. Yeah, that was the end of the raffle. Thank you so much, guys.
Hilarious.
No.
You guys have any questions at all about the tank during the workshop? Any questions arise? Well, thank you guys so much for coming. We do hope you guys enjoy the store. So, hope to see you there. Oh, we're gonna wrap this up too?
Yeah. You forgot that?
Oh, it's funny, guys. All right, so this tank is going to go to.
What are you doing?
Just take a time straight.
We're gonna go chop. Hey, Dad.
That's bad luck.
This tank will go to 5127.
I got 7. I got 7 too.
Nice. You take it.
Where are you going?
Would you like to bring it to your car and want me to take back the box, please? Yeah, no?
Can I get a picture of you like holding it?
Oh, cool.